All right, you guys. So thank you to everybody who is joining this webinar. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy night to spend it with me. And we have a very exciting topic today, which is about AI. And can AI replace your accountant? Okay, so let's get into this. So first of all, who am I? Why should you be listening to me? So my name is Jason Malabute. I am a CPA. I'm also a certified tax coach with over a decade of experience in tax planning, bookkeeping, and tax preparation. So not only am I a CPA for the last 11 years, but I've also been a real estate investor myself. I started off investing in single family back in 2018. I was investing out of state. And from there, transitioned into multifamily. The end of 2024, I started my own accounting firm that specializes working with real estate investors. All right, so pay attention to today's webinar. There's going to be a special quiz at the end. And if you get the answer correctly, there'll be a special prize. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. Okay. All right, so what we're going to cover today, I want to be as unbiased as possible because people are going to watch this webinar and say, of course, this guy's a CPA, he's going to say AI is bad because he wants to stay in business. No, no, no. My goal today is to give you guys the unbiased truth about where AI is great and where AI falls short. Okay. And also, we're going to give you real life examples of where firms, bookkeeping firms, accounting firms, actually try to leverage AI to fully operate their firms and they fail. They actually filed bankruptcy. So we're going to be talking about that and how you could take that as a learning lesson if you are trying to use AI yourself to help you with your bookkeeping and your tax prep. Okay, so part one. What is the attraction with a DIY bookkeeping and taxes and using AI? And the answer to that is cost, right? People will say, like, I'm tired of paying my accountant hundreds of dollars every month, thousands of dollars for my taxes, and tens of thousands of dollars for my tax planning. So screw this guy. I'm going to use AI. I'll just put in the numbers into ChatGPT, figure it out myself, and I'm going to save me a lot of money. And it also automates a lot of the grunt work, right? Like you could put in a situation into AI, and what it would normally take you hours to calculate, it can do it in seconds. And it makes everything look so simple and easy to do. So here is the illusions of lower tax preparation and also lower bookkeeping costs also because now I talk to about 20, prospects every single week. And I'm seeing it more and more. They come to the meeting and they say, hey Jason, I'm using AI to categorize my transaction for me. And I always tell them that's great. Like AI is great when it comes to categorizing Starbucks and McDonald's as meals, but it does not know how to properly categorize more complex transactions. For example, if you are house flipping, right? When you're flipping a house, you are not supposed to recognize expenses, cost of goods sold, until you sell the property. How is your AI supposed to know that if you don't know that, right? If you're using AI in your flipping business, it's going to treat all of the expenses as profit and loss items. It's not going to know which items go on the balance sheet and stay on the balance sheet until you sell the asset. The situation here is that yes, you are saving money on the front end, whether it's bookkeeping or even on the tax side. I always see clients who come to me and that they use TurboTax to file their taxes. And when I look at their TurboTax prepared return, I'm like, hey client, you have a property that you've owned for 5 years, 10 years. Where is your depreciation? Oh no, I didn't know that you're supposed to claim depreciation. I thought that was just an optional thing that I could claim. Well, sorry, Mr. Client. Now we need to do depreciation catch up, and that could cost you $2,000 to $4,000 for us to do that because that's a lot of work. So the moral to the story is that when you try to take shortcuts, it may seem like you're saving money on the front end, but in the future, once you come to your tax professional and your tax professional says, we need to fix this on your taxes, or we need to fix this on your bookkeeping because you didn't categorize things correctly. Or even worse, you went through the whole year and you didn't reconcile any of your accounts. Now we need to do cleanup accounting and it's going to cost you $2,000 just to start, plus the month after month expense of doing the bookkeeping. So your expenses can double, if not triple. by you trying to do it yourself instead of you going to a professional from the start who knows what they are doing and knows where AI can mess up when it comes to their bookkeeping or tax preparation, and they can correct it right off the bat instead of you waiting until months or years later to fix it, and it will cost you even more money down the line. Okay, so we really talked about this. It's some of the risk when it comes to using AI in accounting and tax. So here's a good one, right? Number two, outdated data. I'm gonna make a confession to you guys. I use AI all the time when it comes to research, tax research. But the difference between me and you is that I know what to look for. For example, I was doing tax research the other day for a client who was considering doing bonus depreciation for a property that they have. AI said that they could only do about 60% of bonus depreciation for this property because it was purchased in 2025, 2024, it went down to 60%. So the client bought the property back in 2024, and they bought another property in 2025. AI was saying for the 2025 property, they could only take 40% bonus depreciation. But AI did not know that the one big beautiful bill was passed already last July 4th, 2025, that reinstated 100% bonus depreciation as long as the property was purchased after January 19th, 2025. So with that said, that proves that AI works without data, right? Because it's normally using data that's 1 year old. And if you don't know to look for that, you're going to miss it. All right, so that's something that is very important. And that ties into number five as well. There's no strategic judgment, right? Like AI doesn't know that, hey, this information seems like it's outdated, then you double check. It's not going to double check it unless you prompt it to double check it with new information. All right. Also, remember that if you're not using the proper tools, whether it's the correct security tools that complements your AI software, you should be very careful with what information you upload to the AI because that can get into the wrong hands. And you don't want your private information in the wrong hands. So be very careful when you're using AI. Okay. And number six, you are still liable even though AI advised you incorrectly, right? So if you make a mistake on your tax return because AI gave you advice that's outdated or it's wrong, you cannot go to the IRS and say, oh, sorry, I want you to remove the penalties and interest because AI advised me incorrectly. Nope, that's still your fault. We reported the things incorrectly. So we're going to do some fun stuff now, okay? We're going to do a case study. This is a real firm that actually filed bankruptcy because they built a whole business model of using AI to do the bookkeeping for the client. So number one is I was not able to put the company name in the webinar because my insurance company told me that might not be the best idea, so I did not put it there. I just put company A and company B. But if you guys really want to know who these companies are, first of all, you can just Google it. It's pretty much public information. And number two is if you cannot figure it out, just reach out to me after the webinar and point you towards the right direction. Okay. All right, so here was the promise of Company A. Okay, the promise was that it was an AI powered bookkeeping for CPA firms and small businesses. Okay, they marketed themselves as automation and machine learning, and they claimed that 98% accuracy. Here is what went wrong. They still needed a large offshore of human teams, probably from the Philippines or India, behind the AI. Costs stayed high. Revenue depended on a few large clients. Probably because a lot of people weren't that used to using AI yet for bookkeeping. And then when those large clients got hit by market shifts, their revenues went down. Okay. So they closed in February of 2026 after 11 years in business, and they had raised $90 million, okay, in capital. Okay. Lesson here is that AI only bookkeeping often isn't really AI only. Most of the time, you actually still need human beings who know what they're doing behind the scenes to make sure that AI is coding everything correctly from a bookkeeping and tax perspective. So lesson here is if a professional firm still went bankrupt using AI and having a staff of core professionals behind the AI to oversee the AI and making sure that is doing the bookkeeping correctly. If they failed, what makes you think you, as somebody who is not a trained accounting professional, will succeed by you just using AI by itself? That is a food for thought. Okay, company B, okay, very similar. All right. You always see these ads on Instagram. I'm seeing this more and more now. You see ads on Instagram saying, we'll do your bookkeeping for a whole month for only $100 a month. And they market themselves as AI bookkeeping. It's fast, it's cheap, and that's exactly what Company B did. They promise a simple, flat fee online bookkeeping plus real human support. You see that all the time. They say, hey, it's only a flat fee of $100 per month, and then you'll get real human support. Probably somebody from overseas who doesn't have much experience in accounting or bookkeeping. Okay, so the model here was that they use AI assisted software trained on millions of categorization, paired with dedicated bookkeepers for each client. Okay, so what went wrong here? The growth required more bookkeepers, cost outpaced revenue, liquidity dried up, and then they had to close down the doors. Okay? They abruptly closed down late December 2024. They had 35,000 customers lost access. So could you imagine you are a business owner, you're depending on this company to give you live financial statements every month so that you can make business decisions. And boom, right overnight, they are gone and you don't have access to their financials anymore. Sounds like a entrepreneurial nightmare. All right. So what's that lesson here? The lesson here is even the model of AI with human support, this could still fail. If you don't have the right team, if you don't have an experienced team behind the scenes overlooking the AI, this could still fail. So once again, okay, if a company with 35,000 customers, $65 million, and an AI that has memorized millions of categorization, if they can fail, what makes you think that you, somebody who is not trained in bookkeeping, will be successful in you doing the bookkeeping yourself? Again, I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm not trying to insult you guys' intelligence. I'm just telling you guys to be realistic when it comes to using AI, and especially when it's something as important as your finances. Okay. So key lessons here. We've already talked about this. Okay. AI assisted software, it takes time for it to learn the categorization. I still remember what 2015, 2016 when QuickBooks started to come out with a memorization of the transactions. I still remember when that became a thing because before then you had to manually input each transaction into QuickBooks. So now that technology has advanced so much that now QuickBooks can take the transaction from their bank feed, categorize it for you, and now all you have to do is just review it and approve it if it was categorized correctly. Once again, for you to categorize it correctly, you need to know what you're doing. Okay, so again, always have and knowledgeable, not just any human being reviewing important work, but knowledgeable and experienced human beings and professionals reviewing the work done by AI. Okay, again, it still requires expertise, right? Small bookkeeping errors can create big tax problems later. What do I mean by that? If you categorize an expense incorrectly, you could be missing out on big deductions on your tax return. Or even worse, you could be overstating expenses or understating revenues by you making a mistake, but you could get in trouble with the IRS in the future. So something that you don't want to happen because IRS is something that you don't want to mess with. Don't depend on just one vendor when it comes to your data. Always have backup, right? Because you don't want to have what happened to Company B where they just went out of business one night and then all your information is gone. Always save it up. Save your information in a cloud software. Okay. Vet any AI or tech provider to make sure that they are credible and they have experienced people working for them. And lastly, we're not going anywhere. Okay. As you guys can see, AI still needs somebody in the background overseeing its work, making sure that what it's doing is correct. And who better can you have on your side than a seasoned CPA? Okay. So here is the bottom line. Okay. Can you replace your accountant with AI? Obviously, the answer to that for now is no. Okay, like cheap services is not always better. Okay, it can produce a lot of mistakes. It can cause a lot of headaches down the line. On the front end, yes, it makes things more efficient. It can save you money for the beginning, but again, you need to make sure that you know what you are doing and don't depend 100% on AI. So we were talking about this is some of the potential risk when it comes to using AI. Okay, it can make deductions for you, right? It can advise you incorrectly. Like it could tell you you should be this entity without it considering all of the facts. So that could be a big mistake, especially if, let's say, you select to become an S corp incorrectly. Well, you're stuck in that entity for 5 years. So that is a mistake that you're gonna have to live with for a long time. So don't depend on just AI when it comes to making big business decisions. Always talk to your accountant, always talk to your lawyers. Okay. Again, it's not an audit defense or IRS representation tool. All right. AI cannot defend you if you do things incorrectly. Okay. All right, quiz time. Let's have some fun here. All right. Okay. So whoever wins this quiz, whoever gets it right, gets a free tax assessment. This is a free session with me where I will point out 1 to 2 things that I find on your tax return, something that could be a potential red flag, error, or a missed opportunity by your previous accountant. So this is always fun. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's ask a question. Okay, why does the AI bookkeeping look so attractive? Who wants to answer this question? If nobody volunteers, I'm just going to pick on somebody. How about you, Joe? Do you want to take a stab at it? You put it in the chat. Okay, let's see what Joe said. Let's see if Joe wins the prize. Let's see. So Joe says AI looks attractive because you're potentially saving money. Yes, but in the long run, it's going to what, Joe?
It's in the long run, it could end up costing you more money in penalties.
That's right. Okay, good job, Joe. Okay, Joe, so make sure that you need to provide us with your email address and your contact information, and we're going to be reaching out to you for a free tax assessment. Congratulations on that. All right, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so does anybody have any questions for me before I let you go? No question to Joe? Okay.
What about services that are online based, that are not necessarily AI, but that are like online service based?
Online service, man. So, like, can you give us an example?
Like there's one called Free Tax USA, I believe it is, that helps you file your taxes.
Yeah, I
And it goes
mean,
through all the deductions.
I personally have not heard of them, Joe, but I would do some research on them. I would do a quick Google search, see if you can find some reviews online. And also, what I would just do is I would go to a private community, whether it's a private Facebook group, and seeing if anybody has used them before, and then I would see what people's experience with them like before.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then, you guys, thank you so much for hopping on to do today's REI Tax Huddle. Really appreciate you guys. I will see you guys in next month's episode. And remember, don't worry, your accountant handles that. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Stacked up mile by mile. It's time to sit, reflect, and add. Doing taxes ain't so bad.